So in this particular video, what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to find inverses of rational functions. So we have a rational function here. It says g of x equals 2x minus 1 over x plus 3. Make sure when you're watching, make sure you have the Desmos graphing calculator. I'm going to kind of show you guys how to use it, all right, and how to test your answers to see if you get them right. So we're going to go ahead and start out by typing our original equation into Desmos, all right? So it says g of x equals, and I'll go ahead and do the division bar here, 2x minus 1 over x plus 3. All right, 2x minus 1 over x plus 3. So this is our original equation. And you know what? I'm going to change the color. Let's just change it to blue. So that's our original equation. Now, understand, this is y equals. So if I wanted to see what the inverse was, just what it looked like, I would say x equals, and then I would just type in 2y minus 1 over y plus 3. And so if we zoom out a little bit, you can see that these do reflect across the line known as y equals x. I'll hit home. There we go. Hopefully you can see there's a reflection of the blue and the red across y equals x. So these are inverses of each other. But we're going to be finding what y is equal to, not what x is equal to. That's what the whole purpose of finding an inverse is being able to manipulate the equation so that you can find its inverse. So step number 1, okay? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write y equals 2x minus 1 all over x plus 3. Well, like I said, remember, when you're solving for an inverse, we got to swap the x and the y. So I'm swapping them. X equals 2y minus 1. Except we're going to put this over a 1. I'm going to put this over a y plus 3. So first step, swap the x's to y's and y's to x's. There we go. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply, get some cross products here. So the easiest one is 2y minus 1 times 1. That just becomes 2y minus 1. But I got to take this x, and I have to multiply the x times the sum of y plus 3. And so we need to distribute the x into both terms right there. So 2y minus 1 equals x times y, which is xy, and x times 3, which is 3x. Okay? Now, whenever you're solving for an inverse, once you swap the x and y's, you need to understand what the next step is. Right now, we are solving for our new y. So we need to solve for y. So let's see where our y's are. We've got one here, and we've got one right there. So I got to get all my y's to one side of the equal sign. So the only way to get rid of an xy is to take away an xy on both sides. If I move all of my y's over here, I got to move all my numbers, anything else, over to the other side. So I got to add 1. I got to add 1. Now, 2y minus an xy, those are not like terms. So I got to leave it as 2y minus an xy. And 3x and a positive 1, those are not like terms either. So it's going to be 3x plus 1. Okay, so here's the important part. This is something you guys need to know how to do. Everybody should know how to distribute, okay? But if I have a y here and a y here in this binomial, I have to learn how to do something called factor out the y value, or the y variable. I need you guys to know how to factor out the y variables. Here's what happens. I have a y. I open up a parentheses, and y times what is 2y? Well, y times 2 is 2y. And y times what is a negative xy? Well, y times a negative x is a negative xy. So what did I just do? I factored out the variable of y. And that's equal to 3x plus 1. Well, once I factored it out, now look, Before, I had a y here and I had a y here. Now, I just have a y right there, which allows me to do the last step, which is really, really, really easy. I can just divide everything by 2 minus x on both sides. These cancel out, and I'm left with y equals 3x plus 1 over 2 minus x. So if I started out with the function, and my function was what? G of x? Okay, so it was g of x. So technically, if I wanted to write it as its inverse, I'd do g to the power of negative 1. That's called the inverse of g of x. That's the inverse of g of x. It would be 3x plus 1 over 2 minus x. All right. Understand, those are the steps that you're going to need to do in order to find the inverse of a rational equation or a rational function. So here we go. I'm going to type it in now. Check this out. So I'm going to go over to Desmos. Let's see here. Where's my Desmos? Right here. All right. And I'm going to type in my new function, which was y equals, and there was a little fraction, and it was what? 3x plus 1 over 2 minus x. All right. 3x plus 1 over 2 minus x. Now what I want you to see is I want you to see that the red and the green, I'll even change colors so you don't get confused. It gets purple. There we go. This is what these inverses, they're the same, okay? But this is in the form of y equals, this is in the form of x equals. And this is the answer that I'm going to type into the Khan Academy. All right? 3x plus 1 over 2 minus x. So you got to make a little fraction. You got to type in the 3x plus 1 over 2 minus x. And just if you do all the work, you might as well take the time and energy to make sure you type it in correctly. All right? If you mess up, you can see step-by-step solution to see what you did to mess up. Okay, so basically they did the same process. They just don't go over like exactly what was happening. Okay, but you'll see how they got the answer. Maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. If you don't get it, you can always rewind me and see how I did it. Let's go on to the next question. Got one more. All right, so this one says f of x. Now on this one, I'm not going to type it into Desmos. I'm just going to go over it step by step, see if you understand it. So, step number 1. First thing I'm going to do is that I know that's my y value, right? I know that's my y value, so I'm going to change it to what? I'm going to change it to x. And if that's my x value, I got to change it to y. There we go. We just place it over a 1. Okay. So then we just do the old cross multiplication. So we do our cross products. From there, that times that times that. Super easy. We know 1 times 3 plus 4y is just 3 plus 4y. I'm sure you can draw your 4s better than I can. I've just never been talented at drawing 4s. When I was a kid, I started to like that. Oh my gosh, that was awful. I was like, I can't do that. I just got to make it regular. All right, we got to do what? X times 1 minus 5y, just like that. What are we going to do next? Hopefully, like distribute, man. Let's get this over with. All right, let's distribute. So we get 3 plus 4y equals x times 1, which is x. And x times a negative 5y is a negative 5x. I'm sorry, I just like things in alphabetical order. All right, if you wanted to put negative 5yx, fine. I'm not going to scold you. Somebody might, but I won't. So now we got to think about where our y's are. We got our y's right there. We got our y's right there. We got to get them all together to one side. Now, some students might be asking, well, last time you moved them over here, could I technically move everything over here? Sure, but then I got a negative 4y and I got a negative 5xy, and I'd rather just stay more positive because this world is crazy enough as it is. So let's just keep things positive, people. You know, who knows? Tomorrow, maybe we just won't be here. Okay? You just never know. So, I got to move all my x, y's, and y's over to one side. I'm going to take away a 3 on this side. I'm going to take away a 3 on this side, but those aren't like terms. That zeroes out. So what do I have left? I've got a 4 and a y plus a 5, an x, and a y equals x minus 3. So let's kind of review what I did. I added 5xy, I added 5xy. I can't combine them, so I just got to leave them as they are. I take away a 3, I take away a 3, can't combine them, so I got to leave it as it is. Okay, guys, here we go. Once again, I'm going to take my time and write down the most important step. You got to know how to factor out the y variable. I do not like writing the word variable. It's just long. It's not that long, but you know. So, what are we factoring out? This y, this, we're factoring it out. So what do I got to do? Got to put a little y, put a little parentheses right there. Get a little parentheses action going on. All right? So what number am I going to put right here? Y times 4 is 4y. So think of it as like the reverse process of distributing. Okay? And if I factor out the y, what do I have left right there? I've got a 5 and an x. All right? That's it. All right, we're almost done. Like, we got one step. Hopefully you're like, can you just please divide both sides by 4 plus 5x? Because I got things to do. I got my life to live. No matter how bleak it might be. All right? Slash things out, cancel, right? Those divide into a 1. So here's my final answer, all right? So I could say y equals, but I am going to write it as an inverse, and we have f of x. So I'm going to rewrite it as the inverse of f of x equals x minus 3 over 4 plus 5x. And I'm going to cross my fingers and toes, and hopefully, I'm going to take a risk here. I'm not going to type it into Desmos. I could have made a mistake. If I did make a mistake, you can laugh at me on your end. Just laugh behind my back so I don't have to hear it, okay? All right. So here we go. Let's take a look. X minus 3 over what? 4 plus 5x. All right, here we go. Make a little fraction. X minus 3 over, taking a risk now, 4 plus 5x. I could have made a mistake, but I was trusting in the process. I was just trusting. The numbers change, but I was trusting in the process. X minus 3, 4 plus 5x. Let's see if we got it. Drum roll. Boom. Nailed it. And that's all you got to do. Just trust in the process. All right, so let's do a quick little review. Won't take long. All right, you can just shut this video off if you don't want to watch it anymore. That's fine. Okay, but you got to switch out the what? Swap the x's and the y's. Then, once you do the cross multiplication, you distribute the x. Then you get all of the y's over to one side and all the x's and everything else to the other side. Then you factor out a y. Divide both sides right here. And voila, you get your inverse. And that's all you got to do. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hope to see you in the future.